Hey there, it's Jen, and I'm here to bring you a process video for this cute gift card holder that I put on the front of this card. These are some new dies from Spellbinders, and these are some of the supplies that I'm going to be using today. So I have this die set, and it is called the Shapeabilities Charming Tag Pocket Etched Dies by Becca Feeken for a Charming Christmas collection. And this is really cool. It has a tag, and then it comes with a little pocket, and you can put the tag in the pocket, or you can put the pocket on the tag, or you can use them separately. And it comes with these other little dies that you can cut little windows with decorations in, and also that little stocking that you can hang from it. So this is a Christmas collection, but today I'm going to use it for like a housewarming kind of card. They also sent me this poinsettia die that I'm not going to use today, but it's pretty cool as well. And I'll link to all of these products in the video description, everything that's available. So I have a bunch of things here that I'm going to use. I'm going to use my Tim Holtz water brush. I'm going to use some ink pads from Close to My Heart in Sage and Mink. And I have Desert Sand and Heather there, but I won't end up using Desert Sand. I'm going to use Saddle, which is an older one. I have VersaFine Black Onyx, some Distress ink in, what is that color? Tea dye, and then Distress Oxides in Crushed Olive and Picket Fence. I've got some Twine from Close to My Heart, and then these two Altenew stamp sets, which I absolutely love. This one is called Indoor Garden, and I love. I'm obsessed with this stamp set now that I've used it. It is just really, really cute, and I think it goes really well with this neighborhood stamp set because plants are kind of like a housewarming gift. I also have some cardstock. That greenish blue one, it was a scrap, and I have no idea where it came from, but I'm using some black cardstock from Basil, and then I'm also using some white cardstock from Cut Cardstock. This is the Cougar White 130-pound smooth. It's cover stock. It's very sturdy. I love this cardstock. I will link to that in the video description as well. It's just a nice sturdy. I just ordered a whole bunch more of it actually because I just love it for card making. So I am going to start by cutting out the little tag shape and the pocket, and I'm going to cut it out of that green cardstock, and I'm just going to tape it down because my scrap of paper there is just barely big enough to hold them both on there, and I just really liked this color, and that's the only piece that I had of it, and I'm wondering where I even got it, but I'm just going to run that through my Spellbinders Platinum 6 machine there, and sorry for the shaking. And here are the pieces cut out. Now that little pocket, it scores the edges for you so you can fold it up easily. Now I just wanted to show you again the little pieces that you can cut out a window of to put on the front. There's one that I cut when I was just testing it out. They're really cute, but I decided not to use them for this project. I am just folding over those sides now, and I'm going to put the little tag aside for a second. Now you can see, I don't think it's actually meant to go inside it because they're pretty much the same width, but a gift card fits perfectly in that slot. So I just have this Target gift card that I'm going to stick in there, and I'm just making sure it fits. And I'm going to cut down my cardstock now. So I'm just cutting it with my We Are Memory Keepers guillotine trimmer, and I'm just cutting a card front size, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I have 2 pieces there, and I'm going to cut the black cardstock to that size as well, because I'm thinking that I want to eventually cut down the white cardstock a little bit and mat it on black for a little border before I put it on my card front. So now I'm going to go ahead and get started on some stamping. I have my Tim Holtz Tonic stamp platform here. And I'm just going to use those magnets to hold my cardstock in place, and I'm going to stamp a couple of those plants. Now I just love this. I do suggest keeping the packaging because it tells you which pieces go with what, but everything just fits together so nicely. It's a layering stamp set, but it doesn't layer the colors. You just stamp different pieces and they kind of fit together like a puzzle. You'll see here in just a second. And the thing that I love is some of them are outlines and some of them are solid pieces, and I just think it's a really cool mix when you put them together. So I'm not really worrying too much where I stamp these because I'm actually just going to cut them out. So I'm just making sure I have enough room. I'm going to use my VersaFine Black Onyx ink for the bottom of this stamp, and stamp the little pot. Now you can see there's little spaces there. That's where the leaves are going to kind of hang over the pot. So this is just really a cleverly designed stamp set. And like I said, I'm obsessed with it. I can't stop just thinking about using it again. So sorry for my fuzzy hair there, but I'm just trying to line this up right where it can go. And this is something that the stamp platform is awesome for, because it's much easier to tell where it's going, I feel like. And then I'm going to go ahead and stamp that with some Fern ink from Close to My Heart. This is a lovely, lovely kind of sage green color. And I'm going to just double stamp it because I want a nice solid image and I just want it to be nice and crisp. And that looks awesome. Look how cute that is. Now here is a tip for you. This one actually is layering color on color, but I didn't have another green that really matched that. So if you don't have another color that matches exactly, you can use gray to get a darker shade of the color when you layer it on top of it. So I'm going to use this Heather ink from Close to My Heart, and I'm going to stamp that over the top. And you'll see here that I just get a darker green shade. So it doesn't look gray, it just gives it a darker hue. So that's a good tip if you don't have a lot of colors that you can mix together. Just think about using gray for some more shading. So this, I forgot that the pot had a fill stamp, and I could have done that before the plant, but I forgot. So I'm just doing it now. And I'm using that tea dye Distress Oxide. This was the best color match I had for like a terracotta pot. Usually I wouldn't use Distress ink for stamping, but with a stamp platform I can go ahead and stamp it multiple times and get a nice solid image. But usually Distress inks, you don't get a great solid image, and they're more for techniques. But it looks great. Okay, so now I'm going to stamp my second plant, and this one, the leaves are black, or the outline image, and the pot will be the thing that's just the filled image. So I stamped that, and now here I'm lining up the pot. Again, sorry for my hair. It's seriously fuzzy yesterday. I didn't do my hair yesterday, and that's when I made this. So it's just a little bit crazy. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and stamp that in the same tea dye ink, Distress ink, and I'll just stamp that down a couple of times to get a nice solid image. Sorry for the shaking. I didn't realize how much I was shaking it when I used the stamp press, so I will have to keep that in mind. So I was going to use desert sand for the second layer of this, but I felt like it was a different like tone of brown, and I wasn't loving it. So I decided to grab for my saddle ink, that's also from Close to My Heart. It is a color I think that's retired now, but any darker shade of brown would work. And actually I tested it out before with the desert sand and it looked okay. I just thought I would choose something closer in the color family, so it's a little bit more of an orangey brown. So I've got those stamped out, and now I'm going to color in those leaves on the card on the plant on the right. I got Distress Oxide all over my hand, so I'm just using a baby wipe to clean them off real quick. And that little palette I made out of a page protector and just a sheet of white cardstock. So if you don't have like a white Teflon coated sheet, this is nice to have just so you can see the color. But I'm using the crushed olive to just paint in the lines with my water brush, and then I'm picking up a little bit of the picket fence to kind of darken some of the areas, especially close to the stem area. So just getting a little bit of shading there. And I really like the way that these two plants play together. I love that they have different areas that are the black outline and different areas that are just the solid stamp. I think it's just really clever and cute. So I'm obsessed. So I'm going to hand cut these out now. And I don't know if this has a matching die set or not, but I don't have it. So yeah, I'm just going to cut those out by hand. And here they are. So cute. And now I'm going to think about putting together my little gift card holder here. Now I am going to cut off the bottom of this tag because the tag isn't going to slide in and out of this. I'm just creating a little pocket here. So I don't need it to actually fit inside it. I just need the tag to go around it. And I want the bottom to be straight so that I'm cutting a little bit off of it because I want to have the card tuck in really nicely there. And I think that looks good. Now, I was glad that this card had just that tiny bit of red because I'm going to try to cover it. I know gift cards can be kind of hard to feature on the front of a card, especially if they're brightly colored. So I really like this neutral card just because it doesn't mess with my design. So now I'm pulling out the neighborhood stamp set, and I'm going to stamp sentiment, and also I will stamp a background with one of the houses. But I'm going to start with my sentiment. I'm just grabbing a piece of scrap cardstock here, and I'm just going to stamp this in black. And it's kind of got that look of a label maker, and I like that. It's really cute. And the sentiment just says happy new home. So this is a little gift card for my friend's son. He just went to college, and he has his dorm room, and he's into like aesthetics and like making his house look nice or his room look nice. And so I thought it would be fun to just send him a little gift card that he can buy something for his house, because you know, poor college students, they don't have money to buy stuff. So okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and stamp this house, and I'm going to just create a random pattern on the background. Now, normally for something like this, I wouldn't use a stamp press, but when I was testing with this stamp, I found that I was having a hard time. The lines are so thin, and sometimes I wasn't getting one of the lines all the way stamped, and it happened enough times that I decided it would be easier to use the stamp press. That way I can just put a little more ink on it and stamp it again really easily. And so you definitely don't have to use a stamp press for this, or for any of it really, but I just wanted to use it here because of that reason. So you can see I'm just nestling them all together. I'm rotating the house so that I can have some different angles, so it just looks like kind of a random pattern, and it's okay if some of them are upside down and whatever. So just going to fill in all those areas, and this is with the Mink ink from Close to My Heart. It's a nice soft gray. They also have a linen ink that's even softer than this, but I thought this was just the right tone for this. So you can see I stamped some off the edges too, and I filled up the whole background. And now I was thinking it would be nice to have a little heart to stick in some of those open spaces. Though this is a new stamp set from Felicity Jane that I'm just using this tiny heart from, and I'm just going to stamp it in the spaces. Sorry, it's kind of blown out a little bit here. The white balance got off for this part, but I'm just stamping the hearts in the spaces between the houses, and I'm rotating the hearts as well using the same Mink ink. And I like that the heart is solid. I did have the option, I had some other stamp sets that have an open heart, but I like to have the solid heart with all the openness of the houses. It just gives a bit of a different look, and I like that it kind of looks like polka dots on the background. So I'm just stamping all of those down and filling in the spaces, and I'm not making sure it's perfect. It doesn't matter. In fact, half of this is getting covered up, so you don't even have to stamp houses and hearts in the middle of this paper, but I did for whatever reason. So I'm gonna stamp some of the hearts off the edges too, just to make it look like a continuous pattern. And then now I'm going to get working on my card. So I did think that I wanted to cut this down a little bit to have that black cardstock behind it. And I decided to just cut off one side so that it will have two little strips of black on either side of the white panel. And I'm just, where I cut that off, I'm just adding a few hearts where I felt like there was a space that needed it. Oops, and there goes a bunch of my dies. It's just flying everywhere. And now I'm going to go ahead and put that on the black panel. So I want to pop this up, and so I decide to just grab a piece of fun foam and put it behind that piece. And I love fun foam. It's cheap. It's really good for putting on a lot of foam at once, and it just gives a nice strong panel. Like it won't squish down in the mail or anything. I did just score my card front at, it's going to be a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 side folding card. And it's not quite even. I don't know what I did. I always do this. I'm the worst at it. And I don't have a scoreboard, so I'm just using my paper trimmer to score it. And so I'm just cutting a little bit off the edge where it was hanging off a little. And I don't care if it's exactly 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. It's okay. So I'm just adding adhesive to the back of the black panel. I'm going to put that on the front of the card, and I'm just trying to line that up. And there's a little bit of extra room at the top as well, which I'll trim off. So now I've got my fun foam, and I'm just cutting it down to fit the size of the white card front. And I'm just using some black. I have it in all different colors. It doesn't really matter what color you use, but I thought I would use the black so that it matched the background cardstock, and it would be a nice look with it. So I'm just adding some adhesive to the back of that. And I really like this big marathon runner from American Crafts specifically for putting adhesive on the back of the foam. It just lays down nicely. Some adhesives don't want to stick to the foam, but that one does. So I got this crooked, so I'm just trying to fix it. And I'm sorry if I keep going out of frame. I'm not used to having it zoomed in a little bit like this. And so I'm just trying, I'm learning. I'm going to be posting more card videos because I've been really into making them lately and I'm having a lot of fun with it. So I have made cards in the past, but I'm getting back into it now. So here, what I'm doing here is I'm going to go ahead and adhere that pocket to the front of that tag. And I'm just putting a little bit of double-sided sticky tape on the sides of the little flaps, and then I will glue it down. It's nice to use something pretty sturdy just so that you can make sure it's not going to come off. So I really like the double-sided tape for that. So I'm just lining it up and sticking it on, and now you can see I've got a little pocket. And I just love this. I think it's so cute. It's so versatile. This is a holiday die set, but you could use it all year round, especially for gift cards. I really, really love it. So I'm putting a little adhesive on the back of that, and I'm going to center it on the front of the card. And again, I'm sorry that the bottom is a little bit out of frame, but I think you can kind of see what I'm doing here. So I'm just making sure that the card's going to fit in there, and I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive on the card just to hold it in there so it doesn't fall out or anything. I'll just put a little bit of adhesive on the back of it and tack it down to the tag there, or to the pocket, and it will stay just well enough to make it so it doesn't fall out, but not enough to make it so that you have to rip it off or anything. So now I'm going to play with the arrangement of my floral pot, or my potted plants here, and I want to cover up that red like I mentioned. I decided to go ahead and use that window and cut it out. I didn't cut the pattern out of it, but I just cut the solid rounded edge rectangle out of a piece of cardstock that I had that's in this lime green. It's actually printed patterned paper, but it's just a solid from We Are Memory Keepers, and you can see the back there. But I'm just going to put that there for a little bit of pop and to bring that bright green in, because now I have the color of both of the potted plants is on the front of the card. So I decided I wanted to pop up the smaller plant, but I want it to not pop up too high because I've already popped up that entire back panel. So I'm using these thin foam dots from Close to My Heart, and they're very thin. They give just the right amount of dimension for what I need. I just want it to stand up just a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and glue down that plant. Now I'm only putting adhesive on the bottom of the plant because I don't want to put adhesive on the top and have it stick to the gift card at all. And so I'm just making sure that that's not going to happen. I'm just going to go ahead and put this plant just slightly overlapping it. I'm having the base of the pots land in the same spot, so it looks like they're both sitting there, and I'm going to put the sentiment below it so they're kind of resting on top of it. And again, that says Happy New Home, and I think that just looks super adorable. I'm going to use this gray mink twine from Close to My Heart, which perfectly matches the background that I stamped because they are the same color. And I'm going to tie a knot, and I'm going to struggle to tie a knot. Sometimes you just have to struggle tying a knot, you know, and this was one of those days. So I'm tying a knot, and I'm going to just let this kind of flop over and hang there. Sometimes I like to have a more structured look with my tag strings. This one I'm fine with it just kind of doing what it wants. And at this point I'm trying to decide, is this card done or does it need something else? And I'm kind of feeling like it just needs a pop of something. So I'm trying to figure out what I can do, and I'm kind of looking at some of my supplies and seeing if there's anything that I have that might work. And I decide to go ahead and stamp a little heart, a little red heart that I can stick on there. So right now I'm using Distress Oxide in cherry, I don't remember what it is, cherry something, or maybe it's candy apple. Yeah, candy apple. And so I go ahead and stamp that, and I'm going to fussy cut that out. It's tiny, so it is a little bit annoying, but it's not a big deal. And I'm going to put that on the plant, but I want to add something to it. I smudged it, so I'm stamping it again, but I wanted to add, what's it called? Glitter to it. Here I'm doing that with a Close to My Heart clear shimmer pen. And when I added it, I forgot that Distress Oxides are interactive with water, and so it turned really orangey, and I wasn't loving it. So I will re-stamp it in another color that's just a dye-based ink instead, so that the color doesn't change like that, because it's just, I don't know, it's just bugging me. It's a little too bright. So I'm going to use Poppy ink from Close to My Heart, which is also a bright red, but it's not going to look as orangey. And you can't see me, but I'm cutting it out and I'm going to replace that on the card front, and it just looks a little bit nicer. So that's going to finish this card. There's some close-ups here at the end. I also created another card with the leftovers from this one, and it doesn't have the pocket part, but I'll show you a picture here at the end so you can get ideas of other ways that you can use this. I hope that you'll check out those dies from Spellbinders, and thank you so much for watching.